For this special interview that we're doing. Our next guest is the chairman and founder of As Seen on TV Inc. He helped establish the Entrepreneurs Organization and was known as the Good Kevin on ABC's hit TV show The Shark Tank. He produced many of the first infomercials and has been involved with over 500 product launches, resulting in sales of over $4 billion in sales worldwide. So please welcome to the Downtown Podcast, Kevin Harrington.
Hey, thank you, Dylan. It's great to be here.
So I wanted to get you hot off the tour. So you just barely got done doing the tour with Chrissy Danger. She walked you around, and give me your opinions first on what you think about the Downtown Project as a whole, and then on the container park.
Okay, great. Well, number one, I think it's a fabulous project. I can feel the entrepreneurial energy on the streets, okay? I mean, just getting a cup of coffee, getting pitched some ideas and products, and there's just a vibrancy about everybody in the area, actually. And I think it, obviously, investing in the community is a great concept, and it's a kind of place you want to live, really. So I went to the container park, and it's in its early stages right now, but I think that is going to be very, very cool. I can't wait to see the finished product when it's all done.
Okay, yeah, so let's talk about the container park. We're going to bring up a couple pictures. Have you seen the renderings? Did they show these to you on the thing? Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the concept is these sort of modular containers that can be little businesses. I mean, how do you see that playing out? Is that, I mean, it's kind of lean, to me it's lean startup, but physical world. And how do you think that could change the way we invest in small businesses?
I think giving people an opportunity from idea to low-cost startup is fabulous, because there's so many people that don't really know how to go about starting their business. They don't have the big budgets, and a kind of a low-cost startup scenario for people with ideas is a great idea, and I think they're going to be a chance for everybody to feed off each other in the whole area. There's so many people that have done this before that it's like having a mentor there, right beside you during your growth of the business.
Right. Well, and I mean, how often have you invested in an entrepreneur and then they just run out of gas too, right? It's a good way to test that and see if they can keep that energy up.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes I say, I think it was Winston Churchill that said, an entrepreneur is failure after failure with enthusiasm. Right. Okay, so I think the container park is going to be an opportunity for those that are just getting started to have a chance to learn from those maybe that have had a little more experience, and there's going to be a few failures, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. So you felt like this kind of entrepreneurship energy. Like, could you explain, like, where else have you seen that in the world, and how did you get the sense of that here?
Well, I got to think through where I did, but I grew up in Ohio, Cincinnati, and there was very little entrepreneurship there. When I moved to Philadelphia about 30 years ago, that for me was I got a sense of, when I was in downtown Philadelphia, just had a different vibrancy to where growing up in Ohio, but nothing like what I've just seen here in downtown Las Vegas. But I do think that having something like this for an entrepreneur is a great concept and a great way to get your business started. Nice.
All right, so we'll switch tracks here, and let's talk about Shark Tank. I know maybe you get this too much, but I did want to ask you a couple of questions. And the first one being, what's the main lessons that you learned from other entrepreneurs that you were on the show with?
Well, okay. I'll say this. You look at Kevin O'Leary, the guy
bad
right
Kevin.
In the middle, the bad Kevin, the bald-headed O'Leary. All right, he's all about the money. Okay, and I do think there's he gets a little bit over the top sometimes with being a little nasty to some of these entrepreneurs, but at the end of the day, they're there looking for money, and so you do have to focus on the return on investment and all of that. So one thing that I have a little tip that I've used that a lot of people forget when they come on Shark Tank. They forget you've got to, they're all about themselves and sometimes too selfish in terms of who they are and what they're bringing. And they really need to think, how do I get that money out of O'Leary's pocket? And so one of the things I've said is, if you come to the Shark Tank and maybe you offer some kind of accelerated payback to the shark, okay? And if you went to O'Leary and said, look, you're going to get 100% of the profits until you get all your money back, plus a big return on your investment, and then you're going to earn money for the rest of your life, that's something that an O'Leary would really love.
Kind of putting some empathy into it and putting yourself in the investor's shoes a little bit more. Right?
Because too many people are just all about me when they come in with their idea. I got the greatest idea, and this is going to, everyone's going to want this. And well, wait a minute, how am I going to get paid back is what O'Leary always says. And I cross somewhere in the middle there because I understand the entrepreneur side because I've started dozens of businesses, but I also invest in businesses, so I understand the O'Leary side too. But somewhere in the middle there's a way to bridge that gap.
Yeah, and especially in my opinion, some of the greatest entrepreneurs, when you really get up to the upper echelon, they seem to be so concerned with making other people rich and other people happy and other people satisfied. And that speaks in their products and in their investment strategies, and those are the ones that really get to the top. The more you give, the more you can get up.
Absolutely.
I guess,
I mean, raising money is, you can raise capital, but if you raise it and the people don't get their money back, it's tough to go back for a second round. So you always have to be thinking about making sure that the first guys in are going to get a good return so that you can bring the next round in, because if a business is going to grow, the first round is only going to take you to a certain point, okay? And you need to, if the first round you're going to raise $1 million, as that business grows, you're going to need 5, and then you may need 25. So make sure you take care of those first guys to get to the next step.
Right. Environment, what do you look for in the real world, and specifically when it comes to community? Is that something that you've actually given thought to, or is it just always dollar, dollar, dollar?
Well, I think I've more and more look towards the person that I'm doing business with. That really is ultimately what I invest in. Certainly the idea has to make sense, the business proposal has to make sense, but the person is the person that is going to execute the plan, use your capital to build the business. And that person should be vested in the community. They should be well respected. They should have connections, because building a business is all about having good connections to the community. If you're going to open a restaurant, how important is the community to build that restaurant, right? I mean, you need to have good social buzz and good connections, and so without good community and support, it all starts kind of there, in my opinion. So I really believe that's an important part of building a business.
So in the hypothetical situation where you had an idea that you thought was just killer, but you found somebody that you didn't think was a great person or execution.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I have a philosophy that if I wouldn't want to go have dinner with that person or want to invite him to my home on a Thanksgiving night to meet my family and hang out, that may not be the kind of person that I would invest in. And so, because, I've seen some great execution, I've seen some great business plans, and then I meet the people and I'm like, you know what? There's just something there that's not clicking.
So it's not all science. You do have that gut instinct.
There is a gut instinct.
That they're relying on for a lot.
And I'll tell you, on Shark Tank, there was a couple great deals that I made, but there was a couple of bad deals that I made. And it turned out that one of the worst deals that I had made was somebody that had a great business, a great plan, and could have done very well, but this person was not the right kind of person that I wanted to be in business with, and it ended up being a huge failure. And I just, I learn every month myself when I do deals on what I look for. And the more deals I do, the better I get at honing in on investing in the right person.
Right. Okay, so when you were on Shark Tank, did you feel like it was an unfair advantage that they were on TV just pitching, just the fact that even if it was a bad deal in real life, it would have gone well because of that extra media, or did you still feel like that was a fair playing field?
Well, I will say that there's a little bit of advantage, obviously, being on ABC Network, okay, which is seen, that show's seen now by 6, 7, 8 million people every time.
Yeah,
so,
even if you got denied by all the sharks.
So I mean, those products that go on there do get a pop from being on the show. So there's an advantage there for sure. The biggest challenge is we don't get to see what's coming out. And sometimes there's a big curtain in front of us, even where we're like, oh wow, what's behind the curtain? The Wizard of Oz. So we don't know what's coming out, And so very quickly, this is live. You know, it's not live television, but it's live. Those segments.
Because I was actually curious about that.
You know, they come
those are
out,
real reactions then, and you guys are like trying to
They
learn
do
about
not
it.
want us to know what's coming out because they want to see, you know, our jaws drop when we see something that's crazy, you know. So to see something and then have to mentally decide whether you want to invest in it within 10 minutes, of course, I generally get a gut feel pretty quickly and form opinions. The best part of all of this is we do get to do due diligence after the show. Because when somebody says, I have a patent on something, you know, about 50% of the time, their patent isn't near as good as they think. If they even, you know, like, I don't know if you know the difference, but a provisional patent you might have applied for, that really is not a real true patent. It gives you 1 year to put your stuff together.
Which totally changes the IP of the company.
So a provisional, anybody gets just by filing, that's really not a patent in the way we look at it. So people are oftentimes misleading in their presentation. So thank God we get a chance to do some due diligence before we have to write the check, right? Okay.
That shark feast. Okay, so let's talk about some trends, okay? So one of the things I thought would be really interesting to talk about would be the future of like this mass market industry, because I know where you came from, this infomercial and TV goods world, it seems like at least the media portion of it has changed. Are you thinking that there is still a mass market for a lot of products, or is everything now niche?
Well, you know, I'll say this. Yes, things are more niche. Now you have so many more channels of distribution, not only, you know, on TV with all the, you know, the pockets of, you know, the fishing shows and the golf shows and all the channels, and then on the internet, obviously. But what's amazing to me, just take a look at a product like the Snuggie, okay, which is a blanket with arms.
I know.
Okay, first of all, I saw that. I said, this will never be a successful product because my mind couldn't grasp why this would be so big.
Oh, that was before it took off?
Before it took off.
Oh, okay.
So now I didn't have the opportunity to do that deal, but when I first saw it, I just said, this is not going to be a winner. But the Snuggie became such a mass market product because of all the social media that it got. It was on all the talk shows and all the internet sites and pub crawls, and they took advantage of all the niche markets and then utilized social media to, Al Roker was wearing a Snuggie on the Today Show, okay? Ellen DeGeneres. And so that product did over $400 million, 26 million units sold. So yes, there is a mass market still, and there will, and because it got so much steam and momentum that it went on to become one of the biggest products in the last 5 years in our business.
Right, and you don't see that going away. There's always going to be a big product.
There's always going to be. There's always going to be the potential to hit that huge mass potential.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, Snuggie fits on every type of person I can think. So
they're even doing dog Snuggies and you know pet Snuggies and children's Snuggies and college Snuggies, and so they just really took it to the extreme across every platform.
It's like you got to be a psychologist to know that stuff because it's just so interesting the way it goes viral. So so I want to talk about 3D printing. I don't know if you've played with a MakerBot or any of these like 3D printers, but you know what I'm talking about, where you put the plastic in and it can like print out.
I met the owner, Avi, I forget his last name, last weekend in Newport Beach. I was at a program called X Prize, and Avi was we had
a lot of the X Prize people coming.
He was presenting. They had it, and he presented, and he's a really cool guy. I think it's so neat because I deal with startup inventors, and I go to the big invention show is June 19th coming up. Impact's the world's largest invention show, and there'll be thousands of people from all over the world coming in to show their inventions, and they'll all have booths and all of that. And I've been going to that show for 25 years. And, until recently, you didn't have anything like this. So to be able to turn, I always tell people, I see these napkin ideas and, people with, they're at such startup phases. The more you can show an investor what it looks like, what it feels like. I mean, if you can show a little prototype type of thing, now I can, get much more, excited about something.
Oh, so not so much for the customer. You're talking about like now people can actually make their ideas into realities,
they make their idea into reality.
You get a better sense of what to invest in.
And go get an investor then to put some money into your project. So to me, I think it's more so for being able to show proof of concept. and your commitment as an inventor to the product. Now go raise some capital, because you're not going to, the couple $1,000s or whatever that'll cost you to get all of that might be good for raising 100, 200, maybe $1 million in capital behind that project.
Right. Yeah, because as soon as he shows you something 3D printed, he had to think about it, he had to work out the logistics or the real world problems of building it, and then actually come up with a prototype.
Yeah, very impressive for somebody to go through those steps.
That's interesting. Okay, so for the entrepreneurs, one of the good things, they could maybe pick up one of these 3D printer bots and like start hacking away at it and showing what they got.
Yes.
It's another
in fact,
tool
I even saw
use.
it for sale. The printer bots are for sale in SkyMall magazine.
Right, right. Without putting thousands of dollars into China and trying to get somebody to put the whole prototype together. Okay, that's cool. That was a great answer. So for the last two questions, I just want to talk about marketing. So our audience is all entrepreneurs. They're usually in that seed stage investment, anywhere from $0 to about $500,000. So for those guys who don't have tons of money, like if you had to do the most bang for a buck, where they have a product and they have a little bit of money, what would you recommend somebody does with a small, like $5,000 or $10,000 marketing budget? Okay. Either for software or for hardware.
It's a great question. I mean, in my world, the first thing we do is if someone brings us something and we want it, we look at it like it's ours, okay? Before we even cut a deal sometimes. We have very sophisticated web tests that we can put the idea or the product out to a community to get an instant feedback on how this is going to, it gives us an instant feedback, and we can rank it in terms of its performance on that test as to whether or not we want to make an investment in that deal.
And is it a private thing, or are you talking about like A/B testing?
This is a private test that we perform ourselves. Now, if this is for hard goods kind of products, like a kitchen product, a hardware product, golf, fishing, whatever it might be, but we put it out to a group of buyers that have bought before, and we get to see the response back from would you buy this product kind of thing, and based on the response, we rank it on a scale of 1 to 10, and if something hits a 2, we're not going to invest in it. If it hits a 5, we may think about it, and we actually put a little production together behind it. So it cost about $3,000 or $4,000 to do this test, and if it hits an 8, 9, or 9 plus, then this is like, hey, let's tie up the rights to this deal, because this is before, in many cases on our side, I'm not going to spend a month putting a 27-page legal document together to acquire that deal, to own it, to this, to that, because why do that if the test is going to be a total bomb? Yeah. So what it a lot of times does for us, it gives us a chance to just take the ones that we definitely don't want to mess with at all and move on. And then it focuses us to kind of the cream of the crop, and then we can then hone in and take it to the next level of testing internally.
So is this a product that a startup could simulate in some way, or is it something they could lease or like pay a company to
let's put it this way. There are companies that do this, and we utilize them, so it's not that tough to figure it out.
Do you mind sharing any of the resources?
It's private, private information at this stage, but we could share it under the right circumstances, but just not out to the mass market.
But it's good to know that at least people know that there is a product like that they can submit their ideas to and try to get a gist of how well it will succeed.
I mean, it actually will give you back, a ranking on a scale of 1 to 10 to the viability of that project.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's some amazing algorithms doing some amazing predictions, and if you got one of those in your back pocket, that's an awesome advantage.
Like I said, it gives us a chance to focus on the cream of the crop, as opposed to all of the things that we see. We get thousands a month.
At least you're filtering at the very bottom, so that you got a better chance with the few that have surfaced to the top.
Yes.
Okay, so for the very last question, you have all this background in infomercials, and now YouTube is such a big thing. If somebody wanted to pitch their product or to sell their product, and they wanted to do a do-it-yourself at-home video for YouTube, what are the key pieces that you can learn from the past to put into these do-it-yourself things?
You need a great little elevator pitch in your YouTube, and I think the first thing that we look for is something that where you can identify the uniqueness of what you're pitching, and such that if you can show that there's nothing else in the marketplace that is similar, that is that solves some kind of a problem. Okay, so you know, is it a problem solver, and does it solve a problem uniquely such that there's nothing else that solves that problem in a similar fashion? Okay, so that's a couple things right there. Also, I look for, can you show any kind of magical transformation or a transformation of what your business is or what the product is? And again, I come at it from a product standpoint. So, you know, one of the beauties of an acne product is it shows, you know, from very terrible skin to clear skin, and Tony Little's Fitness from, you know, overweight to you know, six-pack, okay? You know, I mean, think of P90X, right? So, you know, there's certain things that, you know, in these videos that we like a demonstration. And, you know, I also look for things that might have some multifunctionality. You know, hey, this does this, but we also have made it by now, and it also does this, this, and this. So, you know, there's kind of standard things that in my world that I look for, but I try to tell people to apply that to their own business when they're making a presentation also.
Okay, so what I'm taking from it is maybe like a little bit of a story, like actual person, like say like somebody who cooks a lot, like actually cooking the thing and then the product, more so than like talking about all the different things, just one use case, but something people can empathize with and like visualize.
Exactly. I like to see it, you know, put to use. I like to see as much multifunctionality. Also, probably another really cool thing is if you got any high level testimonials, you know, from any kind of industry people, from trade journals, couple, you know, like, just quick little bites that, hey, here's a doctor that said this is going to work, or here's the publisher. Like the movie trailer thing. Here's the publisher of Homeworld magazine that says this could be a great new product in the houseware industry. You know, it's almost like a mini infomercial kind of a thing. So, you know, because we ask people call me and I got this great idea. You know, put it on the YouTube and send it to me, because it's so much easier for me to understand. Because if they can't put it down in some succinct format,
maybe they don't even have it all worked out.
Maybe they don't know what they're dealing with, you know. So
have you looked at Kickstarter?
Yes.
Like, I mean, do you like those videos? Are those kind of
some of those are pretty cool? I like some of those. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a whole other topic, though, so we don't have to go there.
Okay.
But thank you for your time. Dylan, I appreciate it.
Great being here.
I'm glad you came out to visit the community too. So thank you.
Fantastic being here. Thank you.